Daniel stood quietly on the small wooden bridge. The river below moved slowly and calmly, making a soft and steady sound. Shh. The water touched small stones and created tiny ripples that moved gently across the surface. Daniel rested his arms on the wooden railing and looked down at the water. The moon had slowly appeared in the sky, and its soft light reflected on the river. The reflection moved slowly with the water, back and forth, back and forth. It looked calm and peaceful. A cool breeze moved through the trees near the river. The leaves rustled softly. Rustle, rustle. Daniel liked that sound. It was not loud, it was not fast, just soft and slow. After standing on the bridge for a few quiet minutes, Daniel began walking again. Step, step, step. His footsteps were slow and relaxed. The path beside the river was covered with soft grass and small stones. As Daniel walked, he could hear the quiet sounds of the night. Far away, a small owl made a soft call. Hoo, hoo. It was not scary. It was simply part of the quiet night. The town of Willow Creek was now very calm. Most houses had turned off their lights. Only a few warm yellow lights were still glowing in windows. Daniel passed by a small bakery on the corner of the road. During the day, the bakery was full of people buying bread and pastries. But now it was closed. The wooden sign above the door moved slowly in the breeze. Creak, creak. Daniel continued walking slowly past the bakery. A street lamp nearby gave a soft golden light. Small insects moved around the light in slow circles. Round and round, round and round. Daniel watched them for a moment. Then he continued his quiet walk. The road ahead led to a small park in the middle of Willow Creek. The park was simple. It had a few benches, a large oak tree, and a narrow path that curved gently through the grass. Daniel entered the park and walked toward the big oak tree. The tree was very old. Its branches stretched wide, and the leaves moved softly in the night breeze. Rustle, rustle. Daniel sat down on a wooden bench under the tree. The bench felt cool. He leaned back and looked up at the sky again. Now the sky was full of stars, small ones, bright ones, and some very faint ones. They were scattered across the dark blue sky like tiny lights. Daniel slowly closed his eyes for a moment and listened. The wind in the trees, the quiet river, the distant owl, and the slow ticking of time in the peaceful town of Willow Creek. Everything felt calm, everything felt slow, and the quiet night continued gently around him. Daniel sat quietly on the wooden bench under the large oak tree. The bench was old, but it was strong and comfortable. The night air was cool and gentle. A soft breeze moved through the leaves of the big tree above him. Rustle, rustle. The sound was slow and peaceful. Daniel leaned back slightly and looked up at the sky again. The stars were shining softly. Some were bright, and some were very small and faint. They did not move fast. They simply stayed there, quiet and calm. Daniel took a slow breath. Inhale. And then he slowly breathed out. Exhale. Everything felt slow in Willow Creek. After sitting for a few minutes, Daniel looked around the park. The park was empty. No people, no cars, only the quiet night. Near the bench, there was a small path made of tiny stones. The path curved gently through the grass and disappeared into the darker part of the park. Daniel decided to walk along the path. He stood up slowly from the bench. Step, step, step. His footsteps were soft on the stone path. As he walked, he could hear the distant sound of the river again. Shh! The water kept flowing quietly in the night. Along the path were a few small garden lamps. They gave off a very soft yellow light. The light was not bright. just enough to see the path. Daniel walked past a small pond in the middle of the park. The water in the pond was very still, almost like a mirror. The moon and the stars reflected on the surface of the pond. Occasionally, a tiny ripple moved across the water. Maybe a small fish, or maybe just a drop of water falling from a leaf. Flip. Daniel stopped near the pond and watched the water for a moment. Then he continued walking slowly along the path. The path eventually led to a small wooden gate at the edge of the park. The gate was simple: 2 wooden posts and a small swinging door. When Daniel gently pushed the gate open, it made a soft sound. Creak. He stepped through the gate and looked back at the quiet park. The big oak tree stood peacefully in the center. The bench was empty now. The garden lights glowed softly. Everything looked calm and sleepy. Daniel closed the gate slowly. Creak. Then he began walking down the quiet street again. The night in Willow Creek was becoming deeper and quieter, and Daniel's slow evening walk continued under the peaceful sky. Daniel slowly walked away from the small park and onto a long, quiet street. The street was empty and peaceful. The houses on both sides looked calm and sleepy. Some windows still had a soft yellow light glowing inside, but most of the houses were already dark. Daniel walked slowly down the street. Step, step, step. His footsteps echoed softly. The lamp gave a warm golden light onto the road. Under the light, Daniel could see tiny insects slowly flying around the lamp. They moved in slow circles. Round, round, round. Daniel watched them for a few seconds. Then he continued walking. The road ahead slowly curved to the right. At the end of the street, Daniel could see his small house. The house had a small porch and a wooden door. A soft light was still on inside. Daniel walked slowly toward the house. Step, step, step. The quiet night surrounded him. The wind was gentle. The town was silent. When he reached the porch, he climbed the small wooden steps. The steps made a soft sound. Creak, creak. Daniel opened the door slowly and stepped inside his warm and quiet home. Inside, everything was calm. The small clock on the wall continued ticking slowly. Tick, tick, tick. Daniel took off his jacket and placed it neatly on a chair. Then he walked slowly toward the window again. Outside, the peaceful town of Willow Creek rested quietly under the soft moonlight, and the night continued gently and slowly. Daniel stood quietly near the window of his small living room. Outside, the night was calm and peaceful. The moonlight softly touched the rooftops of the houses in Willow Creek. Everything looked still, very still. Inside the room, a small lamp on the wooden table gave a warm and gentle light. The light was not bright, it was soft and relaxing. Daniel slowly walked to the table. Step, step, step. The floorboards made a faint sound under his feet. Creak. He gently turned the lamp a little so the light pointed toward the wall. The room became even softer and calmer. Daniel liked soft light in the evening. Bright lights felt too busy, but soft lights felt quiet. On the table there were only a few simple things: a small book, a pair of glasses, and a cup that Daniel had used earlier for his tea. He picked up the cup slowly and carried it to the kitchen. The kitchen was small and neat. Daniel placed the cup in the sink and slowly turned on the water. The water flowed gently. Shh. He washed the cup slowly and carefully. Then he placed it on a small rack to dry. After that, Daniel walked back to the living room. Tick, tick, tick. The small clock on the wall continued its slow and steady rhythm. Daniel sat down in his comfortable chair near the window. The chair was old but soft. He leaned back and looked outside again. The street was empty now. The street lamp at the corner glowed softly, and the leaves of the trees moved slowly in the night breeze. Rustle, rustle. Daniel opened the small book on the table. He did not read quickly. He simply turned the pages slowly. Page, page, page. Sometimes he read a line. Sometimes he just looked at the words quietly. The calm light of the lamp made the room feel warm and peaceful. After a few minutes, Daniel closed the book again. He felt relaxed, very relaxed. The quiet night of Willow Creek continued outside his window. And inside the small house, everything felt calm, slow, and sleepy. Daniel leaned back in his chair and listened to the gentle silence of the night. Daniel sat quietly in his soft chair near the window. The small lamp beside him gave a warm and gentle glow. The room was calm, very calm. On the wall, the small clock continued ticking slowly. Tick, tick. The sound was steady and peaceful. Daniel listened to it for a moment. Each second passed slowly. Outside the window, the night had grown deeper. The moon had climbed higher into the sky, and the stars looked brighter now. A cool breeze gently moved the curtain beside the window. The curtain swayed slowly, back and forth, back and forth. Daniel watched the curtain move for a while. The movement was slow and relaxing. After some time, he stood up from his chair. Step, step, step. He walked slowly across the room toward a small wooden shelf. The shelf held only a few simple things: a small plant, 2 books, and an old photograph in a wooden frame. Daniel picked up the photograph and looked at it quietly. It was a picture of Willow Creek many years ago. The same small houses, the same quiet streets, and the same peaceful river. Not much had changed. Willow Creek had always been a calm place. Daniel gently placed the photograph back on the shelf. Then he walked slowly toward the window again. Outside, the street lamp at the corner still glowed softly. A light wind moved through the trees. Rustle, rustle. Far away, the quiet sound of the river could still be heard. Shh. Daniel opened the window just a little more. Cool night air entered the room. It felt fresh and peaceful. He took a slow breath. Inhale, then slowly breathed out. Exhale. The night felt very calm now, almost sleepy. Daniel turned off the small lamp beside the chair. Click. The room became darker, but the moonlight from the window softly filled the space. The silver light touched the floor and the wall. Everything looked quiet. Everything looked peaceful. Daniel slowly walked toward the hallway, where his bedroom waited at the end. The floor creaked softly under his slow footsteps. Creak, creak. The quiet house listened to each gentle step, and the peaceful night in Willow Creek continued quietly. Daniel slowly walked down the quiet hallway of his small house. Step, step, step. The wooden floor made a soft creaking sound under his feet. Creak, creak. At the end of the hallway was his bedroom door. The door was simple and made of old wood. Daniel gently pushed the door open. Creak. The bedroom was calm and tidy. A soft blue curtain covered the window, and the moonlight passed through it gently, filling the room with a faint silver glow. Everything looked peaceful. There was a small bed near the wall, a wooden table beside it, and a tiny lamp on the table. Daniel walked slowly to the window. The curtain moved softly in the night breeze. Back and forth, back and forth. Outside the window, the town of Willow Creek looked very quiet now. The street lamp in the distance still glowed softly. No cars, no people, just silence. Daniel looked at the sky again. The moon was bright and calm, and the stars were scattered across the dark sky like tiny lights. He stood there for a moment, simply watching the peaceful night. Then Daniel slowly walked to the small table beside his bed. On the table, there was a glass of water and a small notebook. He opened the notebook slowly. Page, page, page. Daniel sometimes liked to write simple thoughts before going to sleep. But tonight, he did not write much. Only one short sentence. He wrote slowly, "The night is calm and peaceful." Then he closed the notebook. Daniel placed it back on the table. After that, he sat gently on the edge of his bed. The bed was soft and comfortable. He listened to the quiet sounds of the night, the wind outside, the distant river, and the slow ticking of the clock somewhere in the house. Tick, tick, tick. Everything felt slow. Everything felt calm. Daniel slowly lay down on the bed and looked at the ceiling. The moonlight softly filled the room. The curtain continued moving gently beside the window. Back and forth, back and forth. The quiet night wrapped around the small house like a soft blanket, and Daniel rested peacefully in the calm silence of Willow Creek. Daniel lay quietly on his bed. The room was dim and peaceful. Soft moonlight entered through the window and spread gently across the floor and the wall. The curtain beside the window moved slowly in the cool night breeze. Back and forth, back and forth. The movement was slow and calm, almost like the room was breathing quietly. Daniel listened carefully to the soft sounds of the night. Outside, the wind passed through the trees near his house. Rustle, rustle. The leaves whispered softly to each other. Far away, the small river continued flowing through Willow Creek. Shh. The water never hurried. It simply moved slowly through the quiet town. Daniel closed his eyes for a moment. He took a slow breath. Inhale. Then slowly breathed out. Exhale. The bed felt soft and comfortable under him. The pillow supported his head gently. Everything in the room felt calm. After a few minutes, Daniel opened his eyes again and looked toward the window. The sky outside was dark blue now. The stars were still shining quietly. Some looked bright. Some looked very small and distant. They twinkled softly in the silent sky. Daniel watched them for a little while. Then he slowly turned to his side. The blanket moved softly as he adjusted it. Soft, quiet, comfortable. The room stayed peaceful. No loud sounds, no sudden movement. Only the gentle rhythm of the night. The curtain still moved slowly in the breeze. Back and forth, back and forth. Daniel listened to the calm silence. His breathing became slower. The quiet town of Willow Creek rested under the moonlight. And inside the small bedroom, everything felt warm, safe, and sleepy. The peaceful night continued, slow and gentle. Daniel rested quietly in his bed. The room was calm and silent. The moonlight coming through the window made a soft silver shape on the floor. Nothing moved quickly. Everything was slow. Daniel's breathing had become gentle and steady. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. The curtain beside the window still moved softly with the night breeze. Back and forth, back and forth. Outside, the town of Willow Creek was sleeping. The small houses were dark and quiet. The street lamp at the corner continued shining with a soft golden light. Near the lamp, a few tiny insects slowly flew around it. Round and round and round. The wind moved gently through the trees along the road. Rustle, rustle. The leaves whispered quietly in the darkness. Far away, the river continued its slow journey through the town. Shh. The water flowed calmly, touching the stones and the riverbank. Inside the house, the small clock on the wall continued its slow rhythm. Tick, tick, tick. Each second passed gently into the next. Daniel listened to these quiet sounds. The wind, the river, the clock. They all blended together into a soft night melody. His eyes slowly became heavier. The peaceful silence wrapped around the room like a warm blanket. The curtain continued its slow movement beside the window. Back and forth, back and forth. Outside, the moon slowly traveled across the sky. The stars still shone softly above the quiet town, and inside the small bedroom, Daniel rested peacefully as the deep quiet of the night continued. The night in Willow Creek had now reached midnight. Everything was very quiet. The streets were empty. The houses were dark. Only a few street lamps still glowed softly in the calm night. Inside his bedroom, Daniel rested peacefully on his bed. The moonlight still entered the room through the window, creating soft silver shapes on the wall and floor. The curtain beside the window moved gently in the cool breeze. Back and forth, back and forth. Daniel's breathing was slow and calm. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. The small clock somewhere in the house continued ticking. Tick, tick, tick. Each second passed slowly in the quiet night. Outside, the trees along the road moved softly as the wind passed through their leaves. Rustle, rustle. The sound was gentle and peaceful. Far away, the river continued flowing quietly through the town. Shh! The water did not rush. It simply moved slowly through Willow Creek. Above the town, the moon traveled quietly across the sky. The stars surrounded it like tiny lights scattered across the darkness. Everything felt calm. Everything felt slow. Inside the bedroom, Daniel turned slightly under his blanket. The blanket moved softly as he adjusted it. The bed was warm and comfortable. The room felt safe and peaceful. The curtain continued swaying slowly, back and forth, back and forth. The quiet rhythm of the night surrounded the small house, the wind, the river, the ticking clock. All the sounds blended together, and sleepy atmosphere. Midnight passed gently in the peaceful town of Willow Creek, and the quiet night continued, slow and silent. The night in Willow Creek continued quietly after midnight. Everything was calm. Everything was slow. Inside the small bedroom, Daniel rested peacefully under his blanket. The moon had moved a little farther across the sky now, and its light still entered softly through the window. The curtain beside the window continued moving gently with the breeze. Back and forth, back and forth. Daniel's breathing remained slow and steady. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Outside the house, the quiet street looked almost silver under the moonlight. The road was empty. No cars, no footsteps. Only the soft glow of the street lamp at the corner. Near the lamp, a few insects still moved slowly in circles, round and round and round. The wind passed gently through the trees along the road. Rustle, rustle. The leaves whispered quietly in the deep night. Far away, the small river continued flowing slowly through the town. Shh! The water touched the stones and moved calmly along its path. Inside the house, the small clock on the wall continued its slow ticking. Tick, tick, tick. Each second quietly followed the one before it. Daniel shifted slightly on his pillow. The pillow moved softly under his head. The blanket stayed warm and comfortable. The room felt peaceful and still. Outside the window, a small cloud slowly drifted across the sky. For a moment, the cloud passed in front of the moon. The moonlight became softer. Then slowly, the cloud moved away again. The moon shone clearly once more. The curtain continued its slow movement beside the window. Back and forth, back and forth. The silent hours after midnight continued gently in the peaceful town of Willow Creek, and inside the quiet house, everything remained calm, slow, and sleepy. The night continued quietly in the peaceful town of Willow Creek. Most people in the town were asleep now. The houses were dark and still. The streets were empty. Only the soft glow of a few street lamps could be seen along the quiet road. Inside Daniel's bedroom, everything remained calm and comfortable. The moonlight gently entered through the window and spread across the floor. The curtain beside the window moved slowly in the cool breeze. Back and forth, back and forth. Daniel slept peacefully on his bed. His breathing stayed slow and steady. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Outside the house, the wind passed gently through the tall trees near the street. Rustle, rustle. The leaves made a soft whispering sound. Far away, the river continued its slow journey through the town. Shh. The water flowed quietly between the stones. Above the town, the moon slowly moved across the sky. The stars still shone softly around it. Some stars were bright, some were small and faint, but all of them stayed calm in the deep night sky. Inside the house, the small clock continued ticking slowly. Tick, tick, tick. Time moved gently forward. Daniel turned slightly in his sleep. The blanket moved softly. The pillow adjusted under his head. But the room stayed peaceful. Nothing disturbed the quiet night. The curtain continued its gentle motion beside the window. Back and forth, back and forth. The cool night breeze slowly moved through the room. Everything felt slow. The long night continued, passing quietly in Willow Creek, and the peaceful silence remained all around the small house. The peaceful night in Willow Creek continued slowly. The moon was now high in the sky, shining softly over the quiet town. Its silver light touched the rooftops, the empty streets, and the tall trees standing beside the road. Everything looked calm and still. Inside Daniel's bedroom, the soft moonlight entered through the window and spread gently across the room. The curtain beside the window moved slowly in the cool night breeze. Back and forth, back and forth. Daniel slept peacefully on his bed. His breathing stayed slow and relaxed. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. The blanket rose slightly with each gentle breath. The room was quiet, very quiet. From somewhere far away, the river continued its slow and steady flow. Shh. The sound was soft and calming. Outside the house, the trees swayed lightly as the wind moved through their leaves. Rustle, rustle. The leaves whispered quietly under the moonlight. The street lamp at the corner of the road still glowed softly. Its warm light touched the empty pavement. A few tiny insects slowly moved around the light, round and round and round. Inside the house, the small clock continued ticking patiently. Tick, tick, tick. Each second passed slowly into the next. Daniel shifted gently in his sleep. The pillow moved softly under his head. The blanket remained warm and comfortable. Nothing disturbed the peaceful room. The curtain continued its slow movement beside the window. Back and forth, back and forth. The calm moonlight filled the quiet house. The night in Willow Creek continued slowly and peacefully, and the silent hours passed gently under the soft glow of the moon. The night in Willow Creek had become very deep and very quiet. The town rested peacefully under the soft moonlight. The streets were empty. The houses were silent. Only the gentle glow of a few street lamps remained on the quiet roads. Inside Daniel's small house, everything was calm. The bedroom was dim and peaceful. Soft moonlight entered through the window and touched the wall and the floor. The curtain beside the window moved slowly with the cool night breeze. Back and forth, back and forth. Daniel slept comfortably on his bed. His breathing was slow and steady. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. The blanket rose gently with each breath. The room felt warm and safe. Outside the window, the wind passed quietly through the tall trees. Rustle, rustle. The leaves whispered softly in the darkness. Far away, the river continued flowing through the town. Shh. The water moved slowly between the stones. The sound blended gently with the quiet wind. Above the town, the moon traveled slowly across the sky. The stars surrounded it, like tiny lights scattered in the deep blue night. Inside the house, the small clock kept ticking patiently. Tick, tick, tick. Each second passed slowly. Time moved quietly through the night. Daniel turned slightly on his bed. The pillow shifted softly under his head. The blanket moved gently as he settled again. But the room remained peaceful. Nothing disturbed the calm silence. The curtain continued swaying slowly beside the window. Back and forth. Back and forth. The deep and quiet night continued in the peaceful town of Willow Creek. And inside the small bedroom, everything remained calm, slow, and sleepy. The quiet night in Willow Creek continued slowly. The moon had moved farther across the sky now, and the stars still shone softly above the sleeping town. Everything remained peaceful. The streets were empty. The houses were silent. Inside Daniel's bedroom, the soft moonlight still entered through the window. It gently touched the floor and the wall beside the bed. The curtain moved slowly in the cool night breeze. Back and forth, back and forth. Daniel slept comfortably under his blanket. His breathing was slow and relaxed. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. The calm rhythm of his breathing matched the peaceful silence of the night. Outside the house, the tall trees continued swaying gently in the wind. Rustle, rustle. The leaves whispered softly together. Far away, the quiet river continued flowing through Willow Creek. Shh. The sound of the water remained steady and calm. Inside the house, the small clock continued its patient ticking. Tick, tick, tick. Each second passed quietly. The long night slowly moved forward. Daniel shifted slightly on his pillow. The pillow adjusted softly under his head. The blanket stayed warm and comfortable. Nothing disturbed the calm room. Outside the window, the sky looked slightly different now. The dark blue color of the night had begun to soften just a little. The very first hint of early morning was slowly approaching. But the town was still asleep. The streets remained quiet. The houses remained dark. The curtain beside the window continued its gentle movement. Back and forth, back and forth, and forth. The calm before dawn slowly settled over the peaceful town of Willow Creek. And the quiet night continued gently toward the early morning. The long, quiet night in Willow Creek was slowly moving toward morning. The sky outside Daniel's window had started to change very slightly. The dark blue color of the night was becoming a little softer. The moon was still in the sky, but it had moved lower now. Inside the bedroom, everything was still calm and peaceful. The curtain beside the window moved gently in the cool breeze. Back and forth, back and forth. Daniel continued resting comfortably on his bed. His breathing was slow and steady. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. The blanket moved softly with each breath. The room remained quiet, very quiet. Outside the house, the tall trees beside the road continued swaying gently in the wind. Rustle, rustle. The leaves whispered softly in the early morning air. Far away, the small river still flowed calmly through the town. Shh. The sound of the water remained slow and peaceful. Above the town, a few stars were still visible in the sky, but some of them had begun to fade slowly as the first light of morning slowly approached. Inside the house, the small clock continued ticking patiently. Tick, tick, tick. Each second moved quietly forward. Daniel shifted slightly in his sleep. The pillow moved gently under his head. The blanket stayed warm and comfortable. The curtain continued its slow movement beside the window. Back and forth, back and forth. Outside the window, the horizon far away had begun to show a very faint, soft light. Morning was slowly coming, but Willow Creek was still resting. The streets were quiet, the houses were silent, and inside the small bedroom, everything remained calm, slow, and peaceful. The night in Willow Creek was slowly coming to an end. Outside Daniel's window, the sky had begun to change even more. The deep, dark blue of the night was slowly turning into a softer shade of blue. The stars were fading one by one. The moon was lower in the sky now, preparing to disappear as morning approached. Inside the bedroom, the peaceful silence continued. The curtain beside the window moved gently in the early morning breeze. Back and forth, back and forth. Daniel still slept comfortably in his bed. His breathing was calm and steady. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. The blanket moved slightly with each slow breath. The room remained quiet and safe. Outside the house, the trees near the road swayed softly in the gentle wind. Rustle, rustle. The leaves whispered quietly in the cool air of early morning. Far away, the small river continued its calm journey through the town. Shh! The water flowed slowly between the stones. Inside the house, the small clock kept ticking steadily. Tick, tick, tick. Each second quietly passed as the night slowly faded. The sky outside Daniel's window began to show a faint light near the horizon. A very soft, pale color slowly appeared in the distance. The first signs of dawn were coming. Daniel turned slightly on his bed. The pillow shifted softly under his head. The blanket moved gently as he settled again, but the room stayed peaceful. The curtain continued its slow movement beside the window, back and forth, back and forth. The early morning sky slowly brightened above the quiet town of Willow Creek, and the calm night gently moved toward the beginning of a new day. The quiet night in Willow Creek was slowly turning into morning. Outside Daniel's window, the sky was becoming lighter little by little. The deep blue color of the night had faded, and a soft, pale light now appeared near the horizon. The moon had almost disappeared from the sky. Most of the stars were gone now. Inside the bedroom, the peaceful silence still remained. The curtain beside the window continued moving gently in the cool early breeze, back and forth, back and forth. Daniel slept comfortably on his bed. His breathing stayed slow and relaxed. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. The blanket moved softly with each calm breath. Outside the house, the trees beside the street moved gently in the wind. Rustle, rustle. The leaves whispered softly in the quiet morning air. Far away, the river still flowed slowly through the town. Shh! The sound of the water remained calm and steady. Inside the house, the small clock continued its patient ticking. Tick, tick, tick. Time quietly moved forward. Outside, the sky slowly grew brighter. A very soft golden color began to appear far in the distance. The first light of dawn touched the rooftops of the small houses in Willow Creek. Everything looked calm and peaceful. Daniel turned slightly on his pillow. The pillow shifted gently under his head. The blanket stayed warm and comfortable. The room remained quiet. The curtain beside the window continued its slow movement. Back and forth, back and forth, forth. The soft light of dawn slowly spread across the quiet town, and the peaceful night gently gave way to the calm beginning of a new morning. Morning was slowly arriving in the peaceful town of Willow Creek. The sky outside Daniel's window had become much lighter now. The soft colors of early morning spread gently across the horizon. Light blue, soft gold, and a faint touch of pink. The stars had disappeared from the sky. The moon had quietly faded away. Inside the bedroom, the room was slowly becoming brighter as the first sunlight entered through the window. The curtain beside the window still moved gently in the cool morning breeze. Back and forth, back and forth. Daniel remained asleep on his bed. His breathing was calm and steady. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. The blanket moved softly with each breath. Outside the house, the trees along the street stood quietly in the fresh morning air. The leaves moved lightly in the wind. Rustle, rustle. Far away, the river continued its slow and peaceful flow through the town. Shh. The water sounded calm and steady. Inside the house, the small clock continued ticking patiently. Tick, tick, tick. The new day was beginning. Slowly, quietly. The first warm sunlight touched the rooftops of the houses in Willow Creek. The streets were still empty. The town was only beginning to wake. Daniel shifted gently on his pillow. The pillow moved softly under his head. The blanket remained warm and comfortable. The curtain continued swaying beside the window. Back and forth, back and forth. The quiet morning had begun in Willow Creek. The peaceful start of a new day slowly filled the calm little town. Morning had fully arrived in the quiet town of Willow Creek. The sky was now a soft and gentle blue. Warm sunlight slowly spread across the rooftops, the quiet streets, and the tall trees standing beside the road. The peaceful night had ended, and a calm new day had begun. Inside Daniel's small bedroom, the first rays of sunlight entered through the window. The light softly touched the wall and the wooden floor. The curtain beside the window continued moving gently in the morning breeze. Back and forth, back and forth. Daniel rested quietly on his bed. His breathing was still slow and peaceful. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. The room felt warm and calm in the soft morning light. Outside the house, the town slowly began to wake up. The trees moved lightly in the cool morning wind. Rustle, rustle. Far away, the river still flowed calmly through Willow Creek. Shh. The sound of the water continued its gentle rhythm. In the distance, the first birds of the morning began to sing softly. Chirp, chirp. Their quiet voices filled the fresh morning air. Inside the house, the small clock continued ticking as it always had. Tick, tick, tick. Time moved forward into the new day. Daniel slowly shifted on his pillow. The blanket moved softly as he turned slightly in his sleep. The sunlight in the room grew a little brighter. The curtain continued its slow and gentle movement beside the window. Back and forth and forth. The peaceful town of Willow Creek was ready for another calm day. The night had passed quietly. The morning had arrived gently, and everything in the small town remained slow, calm, and peaceful.